This is Elmdale Cemetery. It's also a Grand Army of the Republic cemetery in the Flint Hills of southeastern Kansas. This is the old Christian church building that was relocated here to this cemetery in 1999, and the sign on the church building reads Christian Church 1897 to 1999. The building is still used today for funerals. This is the grave of Edward Oldenburg, who was an early settler to this area, and he served in the Company I, Iowa Volunteer Infantry. And the first Company I, Iowa Volunteer Infantry was at the Battle of Wilson Creek, and later there was a Iowa Volunteer Infantry that was at the Battle of Pea Ridge. This is the grave of Julius H. Storr, who was also an early settler here in this area, and he served in the Company B, 52nd Wisconsin Volunteer Infantry. His infantry was organized, or that unit was organized in 1865 and focused on post-war and frontier garrison duties. There's a backward 9 on this monument. This monument was placed by the Grand Army of the Republic for the Union veterans of the Civil War. There was also a somewhat of a famous church planter that planted a church, a congregational church in Elmdale, the Reverend Morse. He was a frontier church planter and educational leader, and he helped establish the Kansas State Normal School in Emporia, which is now the Emporia State University. This hill that's in the northwest corner of the cemetery has some interesting features to it that resemble an ancient Indian mound. And Kansas has a history of Indian mounds and ancient tribal burial pits. In central Kansas, there is the Quivira area with a very large ancient serpent effigy that's carved into the earth, and it resembles the Serpent Mound in Ohio. And in southwest Kansas, near Lakin, there is an Indian mound that was used for a lookout during the Santa Fe Trail. The historic Osage Trail passed near this area. Also, the historic Cherokee Trail passed near here that was used by the 1849 California gold seekers. This area was once the home area and hunting area for the Kansa and Osage tribes. So this hill in the northwest corner of the cemetery has the features of an ancient Indian mound, and I'll go around to the other side, and those features are more evident from the other side. But you can notice where that buffalo is, it has a flat top, and it appears that there's different levels to this hill, or what I'm thinking is an ancient Indian mound. So this is the other side, and you can see that there's different levels, and it goes up to a flat top and overlooks a creek that's below it. Council Grove is just north of here, just a short distance north of here. You can see how the features of an Indian mound, and there's the creek in the distance. In 1806, Zebulon Pike's expedition came through this area, as well as the historic Santa Fe Trail would eventually pass through this area. And Zebulon Pike was a distant cousin to Albert Pike, the famous Freemason and Confederate general. Zebulon Pike is considered the first U.S. Army exploration across Kansas. And Pike is the one that referred to the area as the Great American Desert. He also was the one that raised the American flag in northern Kansas over a Pawnee village. Also, George Sibley's expedition would pass through this area in 1825. Pikes Peak in Colorado was named after Zebulon Pike. In 1842, John C. Fremont, who explored northern Kansas, corrected the idea of Kansas being a great desert. And so you can see the features of an ancient Indian mound on this hill. And so this, I don't know if it was a burial mound, would have been a burial mound or just a ceremonial mound. But the Flint Hills of Kansas does have a history of Indian mounds. So just on the other side is the old cemetery, the Elmdale Cemetery.